Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Francis.
Yes.
Lovely to meet you, man.
Same to you.
Thanks for waiting. I was just a little further ahead there, but I can't go quite backwards, so another loop around I went. Happy St. Patrick's, man.
Yes, same to you.
Are you just finishing your work commitments?
No, actually, I'm just returning a car, returning
okay.
a car and heading back home.
Ah,
To the
gotcha.
family.
Oh, you're returning it back here?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I'm new to Canada. I've been here about a month.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to organize my license so I can't buy a vehicle until I get that. And
Yep.
yeah, you know how it is.
Get it all worked out that way. Where did you move here from?
From Trinidad and Tobago. In the
Oh,
Caribbean.
nice.
Yeah.
So, this is a far different climate here, I imagine.
Yeah, when we got here, it was like minus 25. And when I left Trinidad, it was about 25 degrees.
Did you have an immediate sort of challenge from your family saying why?
Only for myself to myself, but everybody else was fine. Like the kids,
Okay.
They love snow, so.
Okay.
And we had to quarantine for 2 weeks, so it wasn't like we had to be out and about in it, so it wasn't so bad.
Right.
It was definitely interesting.
What was the catalyst for the move here?
I guess better life for my kids. I have
Yes.
3 really young ones.
Yes.
So yeah, myself and my wife decided to come up here. Why Calgary specifically? I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Calgary has good schools. It's a lot cheaper than Ontario.
Yep.
Probably the 2 main reasons.
Yeah.
But we are very far away from family. Although my wife's sister lives in BC, so it's not like so
Too far.
Yeah.
Where in BC does she live?
She lives in Surrey.
Surrey, gotcha. Well, I grew up in BC.
Okay.
I've also spent some time, a few years out in Saskatchewan, and I came back again to Calgary just because, for me at least, it was the happiest of all scenarios here.
Okay.
So I'm very keen and enthusiastic about being here. So I think you chose well.
Yeah, so far everybody loves it. So yeah.
Good.
I think we chose well as well. And you're from Calgary originally, right?
Not from, no. I was 8 years old when I moved to Canada,
Okay.
and we moved to BC. And that's where I grew up.
In BC, yeah.
And then I came out to Calgary about 13 years ago for my grad studies.
Okay.
After which I then transitioned from then on to Saskatchewan, where I spent the last 7 years, and I just moved back about a year and a half ago. Again, just because I was like, I'm enthusiastic about being here. Yeah, it was a good setting here, I think.
And what field did you study?
A variety. I went.
Sounds like me.
Started in accounting.
Okay.
Then went to sciences, and those first two, by the end of it, I said this isn't a reflection of where I want to invest myself. So I went on to do English and philosophy, and that's where I really found love.
Right.
And then that's when I came out here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So kind of series there of trying to find out what is it that I'm aiming to accomplish. What did you study?
I am an accountant actually by training.
Yep.
I kind of fell into it. I didn't work out in high school or anything.
Yeah.
But I needed a job at some point. My mom kind of just organized a job when I was like 17.
Sure.
And I realized I could do it well.
Yeah.
And better than having a qualification than not having anything. So
sure.
I just went and did that.
Okay.
I actually really do like sociology and some philosophy and some of that kind of thing.
Me too.
I kind of stayed with accounts just because there's nothing else that kind of, from a work perspective, that kind of caught me.
Sure.
And so last year I finished my master's in accountancy as well. So,
yeah.
I'm doing my CPA.
Okay.
While I'm here, because I'm ACCA qualified, but that's of course not recognized as much.
Right.
So yeah, that's me.
Okay. I can kind of relate when it comes to here's what the interest is, but here's what I'm being drawn to, and then life happens, and you sort of pick up some responsibilities along the way.
So I mean, I try to mix the accounting with other things that I find cool. So like I like analytics.
Yeah.
And like big data and that kind of stuff.
I understand.
So I kind of use everything in combination.
Sure enough,
like
I could see
accountancy alone is.
There's more of a story you're looking for, a narrative while you're doing the job. Yeah.
What I like is I like to be an agent of change, and people don't like change. So I like to be able to not just convince people, but get people to buy into actual change and doing things better, more efficiently. Saving some money while you do it, which is always great. And yeah, but just leveraging the information that's available to help people. That's really what it is, to help people. And so I've found a way to kind of marry what I like to do, which is help people, with what I'm trained to do, which is accounting.
Sure. And I saw that in the aftermath, even like now when I meet accountants, how some are really gifted in what they do because they have that personal elements that enables them to tell a story with the data, like you're saying, and compel others to consider something different. Because not everyone has that factor that enables magic to happen when you're saying, hey, let's talk about ideas, let's play with some ideas together and collaborate. And not many have that social medium that is conducive.
And not a lot of people go into accountancy like that as well. So you kind of it's easy to set yourself apart if you do have that kind of
rapport.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see that too.
Kind of like you, actually. Like, you're the first Uber driver who I'm having a conversation with. Everybody's like, hi, how are you? And that's about it.
Yeah. Oh, I see. So, like, you're saying this is more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people, I guess maybe some people just don't like to speak to their driver or to their person when they're in an Uber, but I mean, I'm open to conversation.
Some may be that way. In my time here, I've spent many years here, I think there is a deep desire for most, and my argument is there's a deep desire for most to have this kind of a connection that has substance and meaning. But most don't have the accessibility to get to that destination by way of how do you actually talk to, how do you express interest, because the culture is navigated in such a way where most are compelled by a premise of fearfulness. In which they don't want to overstep their bounds, and so they will play the very cautious game, of how to be able to only give enough without that's acceptable culturally, without coming across as being too nosy or too personal, and then how to also to protect themselves as well is another component. So I would argue they're desperate for it, but they don't know how to do it yet.
I think I agree with you. Makes sense.
Yeah. So I see that need, and I think, what could be there? And so that's why I do what I do. Sometimes it's also helpful, like for individuals like you and I, to come from a different context, because we may have a clearer sight into the cultural milieu that they don't have access to. And then that enables us to be able to have options, to be able to say, here's one way of thinking about it, but I have a few other things in my arsenal that I can select from, and then determine which way is most beneficial going forward. And socially, that's one of the things I enjoy doing.
I mean, for me as well. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an extrovert by nature, but at the end of the day, we're on a rock together. Like, the universe. So why not just be, cordial and kind to each other?
Sure. What are some of the distinct contrasts you've seen in the culture in Tobago and here?
Well, Trinidadians and Caribbean people on the whole are very open.
Okay.
So the kind of things that we were speaking about is something that is culturally I'm accustomed to.
Okay.
Of course, there are variations within the culture itself, but as a matter of course, we are very warm people.
Yeah.
And of course, it's really different here, where everybody has this laser focus as to what they want to do, and if you can move along with them, yes, you might get some traction, but otherwise, just leave me to do my stuff and you also.
Yeah.
Although Calgary is a bit more laid back than most big cities I found so far, which is nice.
Yeah.
But just in terms of like the most glaring thing was the landscape. I mean, Trinidad is a small island. Tobago is even smaller, but this is just like space, like
sprawling. Yeah, I hear ya.
We actually went to Banff yesterday. We just took a drive with the family.
Lovely.
And just to be able to drive for just hours is something that I've always wanted to be able to do.
Nice.
But you can't really do it like in a couple of hours. You're back home kind of thing.
Yeah, road trip kind of.
Yeah.
What's the population in Tobago?
Tobago is like 50,000, but Trinidad is about 1 million, so about 1.3 million.
Okay.
So I mean, it's actually about the same size as Calgary in terms of population.
Okay. Just a smaller land.
Well, it's maybe four times the size of Calgary.
Okay.
But of course, Calgary's a city.
Yes. Yeah. True enough. Question for you.
Yeah.
Before you do ask it, please feel free to say if you don't feel comfortable with this suggestion. We're talking about how here in this country there's a real struggle for folks to connect meaningfully, and enjoy doing. When I don't drive my Uber, one of the things I do is I create a lot of video content on the internet, primarily around the theme of how it could, like some of the insights that I've gained, and here's how I interact with people along the way. And it's been really inspiring for a lot of my followers by way of, I want to see your model and I want to see how I can appropriate it for myself. One of the things I do in some of my Uber rides with some of the conversations I have is I think, I would love to feature this conversation, but I never do it without permission from the rider that I'm with, just because I want to protect their privacy if that's a concern to them. Would you be comfortable if I were to share this one?
That's fine.
Okay. Do you feel comfortable signing off on a consent form? Yeah. Awesome. Let me get you to start on that one there. Sure. The pen is on the bottom here. I appreciate you being willing to do that.
Yeah, no worries.
Like I say, it's not something that everyone signs up for because we all have our different strengths. Yeah. And I want to honor that too. You are at the very threshold of Calgary, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like right out of the edge.
That's awesome.
What today's date? Is it
Today
17th?
is the 17th. St. Patrick's